Hey, so we're looking at correlation coefficients. This is question number 5. Given the 4 scatter plots below, in which of the following arrangements are the scatter plots ordered from strongest to weakest? We're looking here for identifying which of these 4 show a really strong correlation and scale them back until we get progressively weaker. And the big thing to remember is basically that a strong correlation will start to look like a straight line. It might be in that direction, or it might be in that direction. You know, it could be a negative, it could be a positive. Doesn't really matter. The fact is, the more linear the correlation is, the stronger it will be. And the weaker correlations will start to look much more scattered. The dots will be really kind of spaced out, showing no pattern or no linear association whatsoever. And so when you look at these 4 graphs, you kind of have to train your brain to not be thinking about whether or not it's a negative like this one or a positive like this one, but really to be looking at whether or not it starts to approach a straight line. Usually the easiest one to identify right off the top is that strongest one. And we have to be very careful that when we answer the question that we make sure that we answer it in the order in which they want them, from the strongest to the weakest. So since I'm looking for strongest, scatter plot number 2 is definitely the strongest one there. It's the one that's the most linear. You could also kind of look and see which one the most scattered is usually pretty easily. This one over here, for example, you know, it's almost perfectly scattered. Looks a bit like a chocolate chip cookie when you do that, and that often will tell you that you're dealing with the weakest one. So I'll rank that guy as the 4th because there are 4 of them, and sorry, he'll be the last guy there, the last guy in the list. I'll put him like that. 4 will be the last one, and the weakest one there. That leaves me with these 2 right here. And you got to kind of ask yourself, okay, which one's stronger, which one's weaker, which one looks like it might be more linear, which one is more tightly packed together, you know, which one more closely follows the line that we could draw through the center of the data. And when you do that, you can see that this guy here is definitely more closely packed together than this guy over here. This guy is a little more widely distributed if you put a little box around those ones, versus this rectangle over here, which would be much thinner. So the strongest one is the first one. It's almost a perfectly straight line. The next strongest one would be number 3. Then we'd be looking at number 4, sorry, and then we'd be looking at number 1. The chocolate chip cookie being the weakest. So the strongest one is the one that approaches the line. Next is this one over here, followed by this one, and the most scattered one is over here. So when we take a look at the 4 answers that we have to choose from, we're going 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, 4, 1 is obviously C. There's the answer, but I want you to just take a quick look. You'll notice this one right here, 1, 4, 3, 2. And what they've done here is they've ranked them backwards from the weakest to the strongest, and they're hoping there that you misread the question. So be very careful to make sure that when you're answering, you're ranking them in the appropriate order, and that's what's going to make the difference between you guessing, or sorry, selecting correctly versus incorrectly, just because of a silly little thing like that there. So make sure that you know whether or not you're ranking them from strong to weak or from weak to strong. And after that, it's really just about looking for the one that's the most linear.